Ukrainian forces say they have recaptured a clutch of territory around the eastern war-battered town of Bakhmut, but have made no major advances on the southern front, according to the country's deputy defense minister. However, evidence of Ukrainian attacks beyond Russian front lines has been released. Ukraine media has confirmed that Ukrainian saboteurs coordinated by Kyiv's military intelligence carried out a pair of recent drone attacks that hit parked bomber aircraft at airbases deep inside Russia. Hours later, Russia's Air Force scrambled 2 jets to force 2 drones near the Crimean Peninsula, according to the Russian Defense Ministry.
Members of the economic bloc known as BRICS are meeting for a second day in Johannesburg. The alliance is made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Leaders are looking to present BRICS as a counterweight to the West. The war in Ukraine, Russia's growing isolation and global economic turmoil dominated the first day of talks on Monday. Well, let's take a closer look at BRICS. The leaders of Brazil, Russia, India and China originally made up the grouping, which held its first summit in Russia in mid-2009. South Africa joined in 2010. The bloc is pushing to be a new global voice, representing a quarter of the world's economy, a fifth of all trade, and nearly half of the global population.
The students and their teacher had been on their way to school when 2 cable lines snapped, leaving their open-air gondola dangling precariously on one remaining line, almost 300 metres above a river canyon. Military commandos lowering themselves from helicopters to rescue first one child, then another, who were winched to safety. The operation, dangerous. Wind gusts from the chopper's rotor blades at times destabilised the cable car, causing the children inside to scream out. Zipline operators were then brought in by the army, pulling themselves along the remaining cable to reach the rest of the group. And after night fell, more than 15 hours after the ordeal began, the final students and their teacher were saved.
North Korea's first international commercial flight in more than 3.5 years has landed in Beijing. On Tuesday, Air Koryo flight departed Pyongyang Sunan International Airport and arrived at Beijing Capital International Airport at around 9:14 a.m. Although it is unknown whether any passengers were on board, it's been suggested that officials from North Korea's embassy in Beijing could be on the flight, as the embassy car was reportedly parked at the airport.
A bus crash in Mexico with mostly migrants on board left more than a dozen people dead on Tuesday. Torn fragments of the vehicle were strewn over a highway near Tepelmeme in Oaxaca. Local officials say the bus collided with a trailer in the early morning. Some of the passengers on board were from Venezuela. Officials said they had appointments to seek legal entry to the United States.
The wildfires which are burning in Greece have also affected Turkey. Turkish firefighters have been trying to control the flames of a forest fire in the border province of Çanakkale, where 1,200 people from 9 villages have been evacuated. More than 1,500 hectares have burned and 48 people had to be treated for smoke inhalation. The fire also forced the suspension of maritime traffic from the Dardanelles Strait. About 30 vessels, several of them deep draft, had to interrupt their voyage.